Jacob Zuma here on SABC 1 and the public radio stations of the SABC following the second State of the Nation address recently. 2010 associated with the World Cup. State of readiness. Any particular issues around the World Cup that you are concerned about and that you would like to share with us this evening?
Well, I think with regard to 2012, I think we've done very well as a country. We finished I think the bulk of the infrastructure about 4 months before the stipulated time. I think, in fact, very little has been said to recognize South Africa, because I know that in developed countries, you were left at times with about 2 weeks, people were still rushing and building, and when people came, the paint and cement were still wet. Here we finished long time ago. Many of the stadia are now being used. I think we are ready to host the 2010 World Cup. I don't have anything to complain about. I think almost everything is being done. I even think that our team is ready. I know that many people have difficulties. I think they are ready. I've said so before, and I still continue to say so. I think they indicated a bit of that when they scored goals that were, you could count, even move from one hand to the other when they met other countries. I think that was an indication that the problem, which I had always said was a problem, they are resolving it. Well, the problem was scoring goals, really. Insofar as the standard, they are not below other standards. It was a question of scoring goals. I think we are there. I'm convinced that we are ready in everything psychologically. As a country, we are ready to.
But not so long ago, I mean, the World Cup was billed as an African World Cup, implying that somehow Africa was going to be showcased through the World Cup. And there are a whole number of issues on the continent that they still have to be resolved. That from a South African perspective, what do you think those issues are, one? And two, how do you turn the World Cup into an African World Cup?
Well, it's an African World Cup. Firstly, that Africa must participate in many ways. Not only just the teams, but also in many ways. For an example, many countries that are neighbors of South Africa would be having teams training and camping there. So that's part of participation. And I think the leaders in the continent, quite a number of them will be here to receive the world that is coming here. And Africa has accepted that. I was in the AU a few weeks ago, wherein this factor is accepted that this is an African World Cup. And it is an African World Cup from that point of view. I would imagine, therefore, that whatever else that is happening, that is the overriding agreement to all of us that this is an African Cup.
Now, Mr. President, something personal to you that happened recently in the country and caused an uproar, as you're aware of. It's to do with your relationship with Ms. Khoza, and you've had time to reflect on this. And how do you feel about the uproar this caused, and what have you been reflecting on?
Well, Tim, I think I've commented on this issue. I've stated what needed to be stated. I don't think I would want to proceed and continue discussing that matter. I think I've made my position very clear. I think it will just be coming in and discussing the issue that I believe I've said enough, at least from my point of view.
Were you surprised, though, by this uproar? Do you think maybe the media or somebody confused the nation around this? Is there anything to learn, anyway, for all of us in South Africa?
No. I think, Tim, if I commented on those issues, I would be doing exactly what I say I don't think I would want to do. To comment and then want people to comment on what I'm saying again. I think I've said enough so far.
Well, we conclude 2010. You've given an upbeat speech, but then again, as you know, being a politician yourself, we say promises, promises, promises. Are you confident that all these promises will be achieved?
I'm confident, absolutely confident. There's nothing that I can say we cannot do. Bear in mind that we've just had a tournament recently, which was almost like a dress rehearsal, wherein we hosted a number of countries, best soccer countries in the world. And we did everything without an incident. I am very confident that we'll do it. I've also said to people, it's not the first time that we are hosting such. We have hosted a world tournament in terms of cricket, in terms of rugby. So there's nothing that we don't know. I think we'll be able. We have not hosted the FIFA World Cup. It's the first time. But I don't think we could be said, we don't know what to do. I think the preparations so far are very good, and I'm confident that this country, once again, is going to surprise many.
President Jacob Zuma, thank you very much for having been our guest, and we very much appreciate that you gave us that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tim.